boys and girls. Today is Wednesday. I'm at Flying J in Headingley or Winnipeg. Manitoba. Just went inside. Finally took a shower. I was dying for one. Took a shower, and I try not to fuel at Pilot because the fuel is bad and the prices are bad, and I threw out the bonus card. So in my act of self-defense, I just prefer to pay if I get stuck at a Pilot and I need a shower. I went in and said, "Are your showers open?" He says, "Yes sir, $12.60. So I gave it $12.60 Canadian. And then one smart thing I'm doing is when I go to a hotel, and of course you have, like, you know, you have a bunch of soap in there, right? So you use like one or two, and so since I'm paying for the room, I consider it my right to take the soap. And so here I have a bunch of soap from the hotels, and those are my masks. These are my rubber gloves. Yeah, cops were searching me at the border. I mean, not cops, but border customs, border protection. And see, the toothbrush goes in here. These are my business cards. I love, you know, how it's organized here. So much more space than in the Mac, right? I got more stuff in here. That's my hair clippers and some you know, some of these here. Basically, this is more like a technical supplies, whereas this is like a household supplies over here. And here I got my, you know, some documents like a scale. I still have my empty scale receipts for even when I had a Mac. So sometimes it's cool, you know, to compare the weight. Not sure what these socks are doing in my pocket. Oh, I remembered. I went to the shower, and when I bent my head to put the socks back on, I decided not to put them on. And the reason I'm so low is because ever since Hail Trailer installed those new connectors. Remember how I had the connectors at the, like, air connectors and electric connectors at the bottom between the axle, and I was always, you know, cursing about that design from Fontaine. Like, you have to crawl actually underneath. It's very inconvenient, you know, on modular axle on the 60-ton RGN. And not only was it inconvenient because, yeah, I don't separate them that often, but sometimes you do have to do that because, you know, otherwise they're too long. But also because they're so low to the ground, there's a lot of moisture and dirt flies onto those connectors, and they're quick connect, and they seize very fast, especially in winter. And then you're lying under there and you're trying to disconnect them or reconnect them, and it's like a nightmare, right? And so finally somebody gave me an idea to raise them. I think it was first it was JC Trail. I said, yeah, we can do it. But then we had a big argument about the faulty design of the spreader they gave me, right? And I made it work with the thanks to the tips and suggestions I got from my YouTube fans. And turns out all I needed was shims, right? And those shims, I'm still super grateful to XL Welding near Red Deer, Alberta, that made me those shims. As soon as I put those shims in, the 2+2 works, and 3+1 worked from day one with no shims. But without the shims, 2+2 is useless. It cannot transfer the weight to the rear tandem. And so now we're running with 2+2. So anyway, finally got news, because many people were asking in comments about the other heavy pieces of this crawler crane. And just for those who are not technically challenged, this is what it is. That's the make and model of the crane. You can look it up on Google. And so I have one crawler track, and I think on mine it says R. So I assumed it's the right side. And then there's one more load is the same, so it's 44.9 metric tons, or almost 99,000 pounds. And then one more big piece is, it's either the foundation or the whole thing, like that where the tracks connect, like the center piece. I think that one they said is 102,000 pounds. And I'm driving like a maniac, you know, burning up my logbook hours. And now I'm in Winnipeg, right? And you can see it's pretty dreary weather, like it often is in the west here. The truck stop is full, but I found parking where I just drove straight in. It was beautiful, you know. It's like my driver is very good. Like I can say that as a CEO of SERGEI DRATCHEV heavy haul. So I got lucky with the driver. So it's not that easy to find good drivers. And so I'm pushing the clock, right? Driving crazy, and by crazy I don't mean speeding. I mean long hours, because you cannot speed with this, you know, tamale in the back, big tamale. And then I keep asking them, I keep sending them updates, the freight broker, because they want daily updates. So every morning or every night when I shut down or I start, I send them a, you know, like a short email. Just if you're a trucker starting out and you're independent or something, just take note. Dispatchers, all dispatchers like this, they want to know where you are, what's happening, right? And so every morning or every night I send them, you know, like shut down in, you know, like I think yesterday I sent them a message. I said, arrived in Headingley, brackets, Winnipeg, Manitoba, we'll start tracking tomorrow. And then I put like distance to consignee is this. And then they say, oh, actually our customer changed his mind. Now they want this crane to be assembled in British Columbia. And they give me the name of the town, and they say, can you keep going to British Columbia, and how much money would you want to keep going? And I'm like, holy moly, this is already like 2,600 miles, you know, from Halifax to Saskatchewan, where it was supposed to go. And then before that I did 1,100 miles empty, right? So it's a lot of driving. But I look on the map, it's 992 miles, so I give them a quote. They make me a counter offer, of course slightly lower. Then I said, okay, can you please add this? Because I discovered a British, like here I don't need an escort, but in British Columbia I will need one escort, and I'm like so afraid that it will cost me $20,000. Well, not 20, but you know, a lot. And I was talking to Nova about this. I said, why is it so expensive? Why is it like, if you change your rate to US dollars per mile, it's $1.75 a mile. So I said, are you telling me that if I had one car, one pilot car, and we drove 500 miles, you would charge me 500 times 1.75, which is $750? Basically $750 US for, you know, full day of driving, which is usually 500 miles. That's too much. $750 a day, nobody charges that in the States, you know. And they said, well, that's normal for Canada. Like, I guess these guys never heard anything about recession, COVID-19, you know. Like, I'm not making any money. I'm doing one trip a month, but these escort pilot car companies are like basically killing you, you know. So like I said, it cost me 5,000 Canadian to go from Halifax to the border between Quebec and Ontario. After that, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, I did not need any escorts. Ontario, I use my annual permit, but that part is just ridiculous. Eastern Canada, 5,000 Canadian, which is about 4,000 US for 800 miles. Don't get me started. So I sent them a message. I said, you're good guys, you know all the regulations, you were very helpful, but I said, I cannot afford to work with you in the future. And the guy replied, said, well, this is regular prices for Eastern Canada. I'm sorry you feel that way. And I said, well, I'm sorry too, but it's like taking money from the baby, you know, like I need escorts. So next time I'm going on Google and I'm getting the cheapest guy I can find that can put a sign on the car and has a radio. So I have a new rate confirmation because I thought they would amend my previous rate confirmation, which of course, as you might know, is the main document that guarantees you payment and specifies the name of the carrier, how much you're gonna get paid, where you're picking up, where you're delivering. The most important document. And then when they send it to you, after like 2 days of negotiations usually, you sign it and you have to send it back. So I did all that. And now we negotiated this new rate because it's 992 miles, and then actually I discovered that I cannot go straight on Trans-Canada. I have to go through Edmonton, so it's more like 1,200 extra miles, which was another surprise, right? So I gave him a quote using my previous rate per mile, where when I put the town on Google Maps, and I calculated the distance from my previous delivery point in Saskatchewan to this new town in British Columbia. And then I talked to one of the guys that actually is sitting there, will be unloading me in BC. He says, oh no, you cannot go through Trans-Canada 1, through Calgary, you have to go through Edmonton. And that's like, you know, a loop like that. So, so even my original quote was low. But what do you do? At least we found a common ground. That's always, you know, you ask them for this, they say, okay, how about this? I say, okay, add this, we're good. And so now they send me the second rate confirmation, and now I'm confused. I say, okay, how do I get money on the first one? Because I'm not delivering, I'm basically driving past, right? And they said, well, send us that piece of paper you got at the port when you were loaded, because it shows my name, shows who picked up the piece, and it has my signature on it. It's like a dock receipt, you know, saying that you picked up the stuff and it was released from the port. And they said, send us that, send us your invoice, and send us 10 pictures of the track. 3 from the one side, 3 from the other side, 1 from the front, 1 from the rear. Okay, 8 pictures. Never had this request before. So many pictures, you know, but they want to see that there's no damage. And so add all this together, the port receipt, my invoice, my bill of lading, I'm gonna sign it myself, and pictures, and send it to them, and that will be like proof of delivery, and they're gonna pay me for the first, kind of like the first trip, right? And then we're gonna continue towards BC. And BC, boys and girls, it's a real mountains. It's Rocky Mountains, the same mountains you see in Colorado and Idaho. It's pretty bad stuff, and that's why they don't want big trucks on the Trans-Canada 1, because there's a couple of ways to go through mountains, and one is through Trans-Canada 1 at the bottom, and the other one is at the top where you leave Edmonton. I think it's Highway 16. Like, that's the most dangerous maneuver, you know. It always makes me nervous when people start turning like this. Like, what the heck are you doing? You know? Like, there's nobody behind him, and this idiot, he just want to turn on the spot. Just check this out. That's a typical company driver maneuver. I saw one guy do this, and his wheels were rolling backwards. Oh, that's what he was doing. Okay, he's not doing a U-turn, he just was trying to pull into that spot. Okay, and so of course I have the Manitoba permit because I'm in Manitoba. I got it over the phone yesterday, and as soon as you enter Manitoba from Ontario, there's a scale. The scale is open, I'm rolling through the scale. The guy on the speakerphone says, okay, park to the right. You park to the right, I get out, I get all my paperwork, my big binder with all the truck and licensing stuff. And these 3 provinces here, right, you don't actually need to carry the actual permit, all you need is the number, like the electronic number of the permit. And I have it written on a piece of paper here. I took it with me, and the guy said, okay, I just want to see your permit. Nicely dressed, you know, nice young guy, like probably, I don't know, 30, 35 years old, no mask, and I put my mask on. So I give him the number, he says, okay, hold tight. He goes inside, and I'm like, the weather is like this. It's pretty chilly. I'm standing outside like an idiot in a t-shirt, because I thought I'd be going inside the building, of course. He left me hanging outside for 10 or I think it was even like 15 minutes. Finally comes back, gives me back the piece of paper, says, okay, you're good. And I said, officer, could you do me a big favor? Could you give me the axle weights, you know, for my future permits? Because I never scaled this thing. You know, I'm so long. Like, I know the weight of the thing, I know my empty weight, so I see all the axles are okay. And the guy just confirmed you're okay. And he says, oh, I just was looking at it, I wrote it. He says, it's gone, I cannot give you the axle weights. And I said, okay. And I said, by the way, officer, I want to give you a compliment. I said, you're the most hardworking DOT professional in Canada. And he says, how is that? I said, well, I got loaded in Halifax, and I drove 2,000 miles, and you're the first scale that's open that scaled me. And he smiled and he says, well, you know, now nobody has money. He says, we only have 2 people working here, and we rotate. So basically one guy, then another guy comes on shift, and so I think that's good news for truckers, right? So he says, nobody has any money, basically. They have no money to pay a salary to inspectors, right? But that was the first time the guy made me go through the scale, and I was a bit scared because this is Western Canada. He didn't say anything about my lift axle, because before somebody told me that you have to chain up the pusher axle, and so I put a strap around it, and of course then one, if you remember, one fell off and got tangled in the wheels and broke my fenders. So now I don't do it anymore because I see locals, no local guys use any straps or chains in there. So I said, screw this, if I get a ticket, I'll get a ticket. I'm not putting it down because that's illegal, so I'm keeping it up. You know, you want to arrest me, you go ahead. So the guy said nothing about that, and so I kept driving. And so yeah, now I have the confirmation for the second part of the trip, and I got at 6 o'clock, did my, you know, gymnastica with the kettlebell, did some push-ups, sit-ups, squats, took a shower, got coffee, and now it's time to get going. So let's just check the thingy. Yesterday it was pretty bumpy, like on the circle road around Winnipeg, like such a bad road. And then we can get going, and I found a truck stop 2 hours away, right before I enter Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan is 1 hour earlier time, so if I try to order the permit now, I'm pretty sure they're still closed. So instead I can keep going, and then I'll stop at the truck stop, and that's like an hour before the Saskatchewan border. And I'm gonna call, again, it's over the phone, I'm gonna call them, get the permit. Takes like 10 minutes because they look up your configuration from your previous permits when you give them your old permit number. If it's not too old, if it's like less than 3 months, they can see it on the computer. Okay, you have this truck, VIN number, trailer, except this time what's different is that I have 2+2 in the back, right? And I have all the spacings on my computer. So we'll do that, and from here it's very far to Edmonton. It's over 600 miles, so there's no way I can do it in one day, so I don't have to worry about Alberta, the Alberta permit for now. So for now the biggest part is like all day today and morning tomorrow I'll be driving in Saskatchewan. So all I need is a Saskatchewan permit, and then we can keep driving, and then when I stop at night I'll do Alberta online. Alberta I can do on the computer. And yesterday, one thing I did, I forgot to mention, I registered with British Columbia, because I never got any permits from British Columbia myself before. And a friend, freight broker, thank you Rob, sent me a link to the website, and it tells you what to do. And turns out British Columbia you can order permits online as well, kind of like in Alberta, but you need to have some kind of a, first of all, customer ID, and then some kind of a BCE ID, like electronic ID, And then how do you get the client ID? You have to call them. Okay, I call them. The guy said, okay, I can assign you the client ID right now. And I said, what else do I need to order permits myself on the computer? He says, yeah, you need that BC ID. You have to go to that website that's mentioned on our website. It's like a separate website. And he says, well, and you need this, and he says something like FR8. And you need the FR8 proof for BC. And I'm like, what? What's FR8? Oh, it's the insurance. Your insurance broker has to do it. And I said, I have insurance coverage for all Canada, all US. That's why I'm paying, you know, $2,300 Canadian every month. Oh no, this is what's required, is some kind of a special liability thing. It's basically, it's like I guess like what they do in Maryland. They want like a confirmation if something happens to you have oversized load and you damage something, your insurance company will cover it. Some kind of a basically confirmation that they'll be protected. And he says it has to be done through your information through your insurance broker. Without that, I cannot get access to ordering permits online. So at first it looked easy. All you need is just two numbers, client ID and the BCE ID. Now I need this. And I said, how long does it take to get this, to get that form? And he says, oh no, not that long. I'm not lying. That's what the guy says. He said, oh no, not that long, probably about a week. I said, a week? I have to be in BC with this thing probably Monday, so I cannot wait a week. And he said, well, then you can, he says, that's only $30 a year. A year? Maybe he said $30 like total, I don't know, but he says, if you don't have it, you can still order permits. We'll charge you $84 each time. I said, fine. $84 Canadian, so it's like $60 US. Of course, not you know, pocket change, but still, you don't have to wait. And I said, okay, hold on. I changed my mind. I said, I don't want to deal with this. BC is very different. The regulations is totally different from, in many ways, are different from Alberta, and of course, are much more different than Ontario. Because it took me a while to learn how to order them on Alberta website, because you know everything is, each province is different. It's like in the States, right? Each state has their own system, and so I said, you know what, I don't have time for this. Can we order permits by telephone? I said, I really like this system. It's very quick, very efficient, because you're talking to a live human being. If there's a mistake, they tell you right away, you know. It's much quicker. Seriously, like, even though I'm a big computer fan, but when you deal with bureaucracy and paperwork, doing this over the phone, like in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, I like it, you know. Like at first I was like, what? I cannot order permits myself? And Manitoba said no, and Saskatchewan said, yeah, you can order them, but first we want to see that you can handle the stress, basically. No, they said, once you have like 8 or 10 permits, then we can allow you. We'll give you the password and username, then you can do it yourself. But first, and I think that's smart. So basically you're learning with them, right? Because you learn, you know, the weights, the limitations, you know, and so I think it's cool. And so I said, okay, let's do this. Let's do permits by phone first, and then when I learn, in a couple of months, then I will get you that special insurance, FR8, whatever, thing, and I'll register and I do them myself. And so the guy says, okay, so you want to do it now? Caught me off guard. I said, no, not really. I said, I'm in Winnipeg. I'll call you guys back tomorrow. And one cool thing about BC is that they are on the Pacific time, right? And so when everything is closed over here, the BC permit office and many, you know, government offices are still open. And that's my plan for the day. So when I stop at night, I'm gonna do BC first, because even if it's like 8 o'clock local, it'll be what, 6 over there? No, I have to do it like 7. It'll be like 5 over there, or before 5, of course, their time, before they close. And I'm gonna do the BC permit, and then I'll do the Alberta permit myself. All right, let's go check on the big tamale, shall we? But it was behaving. It did not move did not move at all. I keep checking on it, but it's all good. Yeah, you see, those are the connectors, right? So now they were there, whereas before they were underneath. Yeah, it seems a bit high now, but it's because of the ground over here. So once I see the airbags now, there's less weight, so you can see they're high. But once I go from this bad spot, they'll be okay. But that's what happened when I tried to use it without shims. That's what happened. These chains were way over tight, you know, and those bags were ready to explode. But still, like, this is high, so it's gonna go down. But I still have lots of room in there. I can increase this. And you see, when we were loading, this was my concern. I was afraid that this thing might touch this, but there's still lots of room. See, this is good. This works. Like 2,000 miles back, I put this chain like this, nothing moved, you know. Perfect. The boards are still the same way I left them when I left the port. That's how they were. And like I said, you see how many chains I have? It's like ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 chains, I think. Anyway. So now all we gotta do is start the engine, warm up the truck, and I need to get some fuel. And then we can get going. You cool with that? Good. All right, how do we get out of here? That's a good question. There's a guy parked at 45-degree angle from me. If he was not there, it would be real easy. So I cannot back. Well, at least the guy next to me left. I can go like this. Okay. But if it doesn't work, no. I'd rather take my chances over there. I'm just gonna go to the pumps to get fuel, and I'm getting low on DEF. Well, actually it will work this way. Watching my rear tandem, and because it's steerable, in Australia, but still, it's pretty big. Alright, and now we're just gonna do like a big U-turn in front of the pumps. The second lane from the truck stop is open, so and I'm in a straight line. So we're gonna go get DEF and fuel. And actually I keep complaining about the pilot price, but today it's like 99 cents, which is not too bad. All right. 343.05. And last time I was here, fueled here, you see in my register, my fuel register, April 16th, 2 months ago, I got 162.5 liters. And then you see Griswold on the same day, and that's actually where I'm going. I'm going to Griswold. That's where that petrol is. That's going to be my first stop. All right, we can go. I wanted to leave at 6. That's why I got up at, I wanted to leave at 7. That's why I got up at 6. But I started doing the video. And that sound is I'm charging my second GoPro because we're gonna be going through some amazing landscapes in the Rocky Mountains. Probably the day after tomorrow. Okay, let's check the brakes. Well, of course, that's not a very good check. Because I was hardly moving. Okay, let's try again. Or the brakes work. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, remember I was saying that as I was driving in Nova Scotia, it seemed like the rear of the trailer was a bit off, like the trailer was dog tracking. And guess what? I'm thinking about this, and all my best thoughts, like solutions, as it often happens to us, they come to me when I'm half awake, you know, falling asleep, or I'm getting up in the morning. And I thought, what if I check I was thinking about the fifth wheel, right? Because if your fifth wheel is dry, it can cause all kinds of problems, you know, tire wear, anything. And I remembered that the Jeep that I'm using on this trip has been sitting for like 2 months, because all my previous loads I did not need a Jeep for, right? And I remember when I was hooking up, and because it was raining, it was snowing back then, it was pretty dry, right? And so I stopped. I was at the truck stop in Ontario. I think it was called Arnprior or Arnprior, something like that. Arnprior, just near Ottawa. And I went inside. I said, "Hey, do you sell this? You know, these sticks of fifth wheel grease?" He says, "No." So I had to buy those packets, you know, $2.99 each. Son of a gun. I said, okay, give me 4, because I wanted to use 2 on the Jeeps fifth wheel and 2 on the truck, just in case. And then in the morning I went ahead and I got 2 more. And so in the morning on that day, basically I dropped the trailer. I was able to create a gap between the Jeep and the trailer, and then I put 4 packs in there. Oh, actually I had 4 on the Jeep, 4 on the truck. So $2.99 each. But That's a business expense, right? And as soon as I did that, the dog tracking disappeared, you know? Because I guess especially with a lot of weight, right? When you have a lot of weight on the fifth wheel, if it's super dry, it cannot, you know, it cannot twist very well. And so that's what I learned, is that it's super important to keep your
150 meters, turn left onto Trans-Canada Highway, Manitoba Northwest.
keep your fifth wheel moist, wet, with grease. All right, that's it. This is Trans-Canada 1. Winnipeg is that way. This way is Alberta. And this truck stop, I remember, I have some bad memories about this. When I just started driving for Challenger, it was a drive-in, and they gave me a brand new Freightliner. My first truck was old, Volvo, and then 6 months later I managed to persuade them to give me a brand new Freightliner, Columbian. And I'm sitting here in winter. This was like 2006, 2007, and it's minus 42 outside Celsius, which is about minus 44 F. And I was idling, right? I knew, I'm not stupid. I know when it's that cold, you know, you gotta idle. But I idled at low, very low RPM, like 700, 750, something like that. And of course I had my bunk heater. So I was comfortable. I drew the curtains in front of the sleeper, so it was okay. And the truck was running all night, and then I wake up in the morning. So this was 14 years ago. I still remember the embarrassment, because I start the truck after I grab my coffee. I mean, not start, but you know, put it in gear after I grab my coffee, and I start leaving the truck stop, and the truck starts jerking, puffing white smoke. I can see in the mirror, and it stalls right at that turn, at the lights when I was turning, except I was turning left, and I think I was on my way back to Toronto, to Ontario. So I was trying to turn right, and and the truck just finally died right at that intersection. Like, holy moly. So I call my dispatch. I am a new driver. It's like minus 42 outside, like I said, right? Super cold. In a different, you know, Winnipeg. It's like a foreign country. And the dispatch helped me to get in touch with a local Freightliner dealer. So they sent a tow truck. The tow truck towed me to the dealer, and they found that my fuel was completely gelled. And they said, "Did you use an anti-gel?" I said, "What's an anti-gel?" I did not know anything about anti-gel, so that was the year when I learned. And so when they tell you that you don't have to use anti-gel in Canada, that's partially correct, but not if you came from US. And I think that's what happened. You know, I came from the States, and I had had US fuel, and of course US fuel in winter, it's not very reliable. But that's the true story. Idling all night, and the truck stalled at the exit from the truck stop, right? All right, there's a scale somewhere here. Yeah, you see it says 2 kilometers. Let's see if it's open or not. I got my magic permit number somewhere there. And one more thing I gotta check, by the way, about the trailer. I was again researching online, and they say like when your steering wheel is turned like this, it might mean that the truck is actually dog tracking, or what they call it, right? Like I'm going straight, but the actual truck is going like this. You know, like the body of the truck is pointed that way, and so to keep going straight, the fifth wheel is turned to the right. But you see right now it's not turned. So, like that guy where I took the truck, oh, check this out, 91.9 for diesel per liter. But the guy where I took the truck, he said it's perfect, but then I look at that, I think it's called thrust in the back of the axles. I had a positive thrust, and they were saying that when you have a positive thrust, that means that the rear axles are kind of like not aligned properly, so they're pushing your truck like this. So the truck is going like this, you know, instead of going like this, it goes like this, and then of course your wheel is, you have to turn it to the right to go straight. So basically I want to get a second opinion on that alignment, even though I used to use these, I used to trust these Bast tire in Kitchener, B-A-S-T, Bast tire. They were pretty good. The roads are getting worse and worse here. But now he gave me a printout, right? I can see all my numbers, but I want to check with somebody else. Like I know my Kenworth, they use somebody for alignment for all new trucks. Oh, check this out. Heavy hauling brother. The guy has a solid low boy with solid neck and new design Mack truck, and he has ramps in the back, so he just drove that excavator. Okay, all trucks report when lights flashing. So are we flashing? No, we're not flashing. So they only stop people from the other side. Cool. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So yeah, you see that's the scale in the middle. So you have to go like this, and they're open, but only for those guys. Beautiful. We out of here. And the speed limit is 110 kilometers per hour over here. Well, we're gonna go, you know, this, because of this weight, I'm burning a lot of fuel. So that's my biggest expense after permits and escorts right now. So go to my favorite speed of 91 kilometers per hour, 56 miles per hour. Okay, 84. 85. Come on. 86. Wow, we're flying. 87. Where's the point of no return? 88. 89. 90 kilometers an hour. Unbelievable. 91. Look at this. The grass is flying by like there's no tomorrow. The trees are bending down from the wind created by my truck's movement. Oh yeah, you see that the road is broken. Like every couple of meters there's a break in the pavement. Super rough. And of course it does not help that my truck has a setback axle. That's one drawback of having a setback axle, is that your front wheel is right, you know, under the engine, and so it jumps and behaves worse than if you have a set forward axle, like a classic truck, right? And we are 2 hours away, or 224 kilometers away from my first stop. At the brand new Petro Canada gas station. The temperature is plus 15. About 60 F, a bit chilly, but inside the cab it's okay. Alright, made it to my first stop. I've been here before, and this used to be like all broken up pavement. It looks like they trucked in lots of gravel, but at least there's nobody here. So see, I was able to go like this to the right, and they have separate pumps for trucks. I think last time I went into that in the middle, and then you can get out through there, but now there's a delivery truck in there. But I know this will work, like from this angle I can get back out, even being 105 feet long. So okay, so the plan now is grab something to eat. They have some snacks in there, and then I'm gonna send my invoice and the proof of delivery to the dispatcher, so that they pay me for the first leg of this trip. Gotta take a bunch of pictures to prove that I didn't have any accidents, that the load is not damaged, And then the main part is because I'm only about probably 45 miles, 70 kilometers away from the Saskatchewan line. I gotta get on the horn and order Saskatchewan permits. Well, good news, bad news. I just sent like 4 emails to my contact at the freight broker company, so they have a bunch of pictures. They got my invoice, my bill of lading, a dock receipt from the port, so they should have everything they need in order to pay me. And then I got ready. I measured my truck just to make sure, because this is the first time I'm coming into Saskatchewan with a 2+2, and I have all the measurements. I wrote down my weights, pretty much the same what I used for my Manitoba permit, and I have my file on the computer with all the VIN numbers, all the axle spacings, everything, right? And yet each time I'm talking to these people, they ask me different questions, like honest to God, because I have the answers on my file, right? Like kingpin to axle 2 or kingpin to axle 1. And then she would say something, what's the kingpin to axle 6? I'm not kidding you. And this lady was so hostile, you know, like aggressive, like she got off on the wrong side of the bed and her house burned down and she had 2 flat tires on the way to work and her coffee was burned, and she just found out that her husband was cheating on her for the past 10 years. Has been cheating. No, like seriously, right? I say, yeah, hi, this is Sergey. I need to order a permit for oversize, overweight in Saskatchewan. Can I give you my previous permit number, please? She says, no. What's your truck number? What's your truck license plate number? And I have it right there. I say, are you sure? Because you can copy my configuration, all my spacings from that permit. No, I cannot. I'm not copying anything. I'll have to ask you. Like, each time, you know, when you, like, each person is different. Like, these guys they don't have any policy where make it easier. But this lady was really pissed off at somebody. Not me, but... And then we get to a point, I get her all the info. I give her all the info, and then we spend like 10 minutes arguing about my trailer. Because of course I have a tandem, right? So okay, what's your kingpin to axle 1? Okay, what's the kingpin to rear of the trailer? What's the overall length of the trailer? What's your box length? Like, what the what box? Are you talking about the deck? No, your overall length. Like, okay, so now we're talking regular English. Okay, box length. And I added all measurements. I give her my overall length, and she says, so it's a stretch trailer. I said, no, it's not a stretch trailer. Well, it's not a regular trailer. You're saying it's a regular trailer? It cannot be a regular trailer because your wheelbase, like kingpin to middle between the tandem, is like, you know, something, right? She says, that's more than regular, much longer than regular trailer. So your trailer is extended. I'm like, and you cannot argue with them, right? It's like police, right? So you're trying to be polite, and I said, oh, and of course, you know, they always throw in this. I've been doing it for 27 years, I think she said, or 20 years, or something like that, or 50 years. And I said, me too, you know, I've been doing it since 2005. I said, if you were to look up my previous permit number, I said, I've been through Saskatchewan with the same trailer since January 1st, like 5 or 6 times. And that's why I said I wanted to give you my old permit number. She would not take it. She's asking me all these spacings, basically manually populating her secret table on the computer. But anyway, so we argue about this, and then I said, well, I'll give you my true kingpin to axle length, right? And then she's asked me if it's an extendable trailer. I said, no. Why is it so long? I said, because I told you I'm using a Jeep, right? I have a tandem Jeep, and you have to explain to them, like, even though they've been doing it for 75 years, you cannot use a tandem Jeep with a standard neck on the trailer, right? So I said, the neck has a flip box, a neck extension. I said, oh, so the neck is extended, so this is an extended trailer. And I said, well, technically, yeah, the trailer is extended because of the neck, but it's not an extendable trailer, like a trombone, they call it, or stretch, right? I'm telling you, like, I was at the end of my patience. But anyway, then I gave him my weights, and the overall gross is 80,800 kilos. And oh, and she says, so okay, what's the route? I said, I need to get to Edmonton. You have to tell me the highway numbers. I said, any recommendations or suggestions? No, I just go by what you tell me. Like, super unfriendly, I'm telling you, not willing to help in any way. I said, okay, Trans-Canada 1 to Highway 11. Are you taking the bypass around Regina? I said, shall I? Well, do you have a city permit for Regina? I said, no. Well, if you don't take the bypass, you have to take this. You have to get a city permit. Okay, I'm taking the bypass, I guess. Again, Highway 11 to where? To Saskatoon. Do you have a city permit for Saskatoon? I said, not yet. Do I need one? Oh yeah. I said, how about if I go on bypass? There's no bypass around Saskatoon. I said, I see this on Google Maps. It says Circle Drive. No, Circle Drive goes through downtown Saskatoon. You need a permit for Saskatoon. I said, okay, can we bypass it somehow? You have to tell me the names of the highways, sir, you want to take in order to bypass Saskatoon. Like, geez, you know? And I said, okay, how about Highway 14? There's no Highway 14 near Saskatoon. The nearest one you can take to bypass Saskatoon is 15, and I can clearly see 14. But of course it's too late. It goes west from Saskatoon. Like, check this out. If I increase this. So, Saskatoon. See, that's 11. This is 11. And then you take 11, and there's 14 over here. That's what I was talking about. But she says that this whole thing, the Circle Drive, goes through downtown Saskatoon, which is total BS. Like, Circle, that's 11 over here, but Circle Drive goes over here. And I said, yeah, I want to take this, 14. And she says, no, the only highway that goes west before Saskatoon is 15, which is like way over here, 15, you know? And I said, okay, let's take 15. Where do you want to go from there? And you can see here, 15, it terminates. It's a T-intersection. And that's why I said, I cannot see over here. I cannot see the name of this Highway 4 or something. Yeah, I think it's 4, right? North. Anyway, she was not willing to help in any way, and I was trying to ask her, like, can you route me towards Edmonton or Lloydminster? Sir, I don't care about Alberta. You have to tell me the routes you're taking. And I said, you know what? Okay, scrap that. Let's go like this. This is 200 kilometers longer. But I could not deal with this lady anymore. I said, just give me Trans-Canada 1, Manitoba border, bypass around Regina, straight west towards Medicine Hat and Calgary. I said, I'll go like this. And then, of course, I'll go like this. Because basically what happens is here, boys and girls, is my destination is here, near Vancouver, but I cannot go west here through the mountains. Like this road, Trans-Canada 1, is not good for like super heavy big trucks. So I have to go here on Highway 16 and then come back down. So it's like a big loop, but that's the only way you can do it. So I need to get to Edmonton, and this is Lloydminster, is the border with Alberta. And you see here, it looks like a logical way is like this 16. You see, but now I'm already here. I'm near the border. I'm just west of Brandon. And so yeah, so forget it. I'll take this one and then take this like this and then go here. Oh boy, it's gonna be a long trip. And the last thing she said was that because it's over 80,000 pounds, 80,000 kgs, my gross weight 80,800 on the permit, it needs to go to bridge approval, like department there, right? And I said, what if I take off like 800 kgs on the Jeep? Because I told her 19.8 kgs, but I'm pretty sure I'm not that heavy. And she says, well, if you go through bypass Regina, anything over 70,000 kgs requires bridge approval. And of course, I cannot lose 10,000 kgs, which is 22,000 pounds. So I said, okay. So I said, what are we doing from here? And she said, you have a pen and paper? I said, yeah. Okay, here's your application number. So she gives me the application number, and I said, do you want me to call you back or somebody will call me back? We will call you back. Okay. So I cannot enter Saskatchewan unless I have the permit. Catch you later, boys and girls.